Have you ever stopped to think that your greatest enemy might not be out there, but inside your own head? It has no face, no loud voice, only whispers, "You can't do it, it's not worth trying." That enemy is not a person. It's your own mind, when it's not under your command. Joseph Murphy said that the mind is a faithful servant but a terrible master. When you don't control it, it begins to work against you, silently, without you even realizing it. It repeats old fears, doubts, and limitations like a broken record, sabotaging your plans before they even begin. Think about how many times you've had a great idea or a dream, but an inner voice said, "What if it goes wrong?" That voice is the echo of fear programmed into your subconscious. And if you don't challenge it, it becomes the autopilot of your life. Murphy taught that this inner force isn't evil, it simply obeys the orders you give it, often unconsciously. Every repeated thought, every phrase of doubt, is a seed the subconscious turns into reality. So, when you constantly think of failure, your mind works to confirm it. But here's the liberating truth: anything programmed can be reprogrammed. Your mind can be your greatest prison or your greatest ally. The first step is recognizing the invisible enemy, the mental pattern that governs your actions without your consent. The good news? You don't have to fight it. You just have to take command. The mind was made to serve, not to rule. And when you learn to speak its language, the language of faith, repetition, and clarity, the enemy turns into a powerful ally. Joseph Murphy said, "What you think continuously, you create. What you fear, you attract. What you affirm with faith, you manifest." So start today by observing your thoughts, like a guardian at the temple gate. Replace every doubt with a decree of power. Every fear with an affirmation of faith. And remember, the enemy exists only as long as you feed it with attention. The moment you sit on the throne of your own mind, it vanishes, and the power returns to you. If this message resonates with you, comment below, "I command my mind." That's your first decree of power. And if you want to keep awakening this inner mastery, subscribe and turn on the bell. Your new journey begins now. How many times have you felt that you were about to achieve something great, and suddenly, everything fell apart? An inexplicable fear arose, a voice inside whispered, "Not now," and without realizing it, you sabotaged what you wanted most. The mind can build empires, but it can also destroy them before they even begin. Joseph Murphy said that the subconscious mind is a perfect servant, but it executes orders without judgment. If you repeat thoughts of doubt, failure, or unworthiness, it interprets them as your will, and begins to organize everything to confirm that belief. It's like an obedient worker unknowingly working against his own master. The inner saboteur rarely shows up clearly. It disguises itself as logic, caution, or waiting for the right moment. But behind those excuses hides one emotion: fear of failure, loss, or rejection. These fears are like invisible locks installed by the subconscious to keep you away from what you truly desire. Murphy taught that the mind doesn't recognize good or bad, only what feels familiar. So even when you crave change, your mind clings to the old, because the known feels safer than the unknown. You don't fear failure, you fear uncertainty. Think about how many times you've started a new project, relationship, or habit with enthusiasm. Then suddenly, a part of you began to delay, doubt, or give up. It wasn't a lack of willpower, it was your subconscious trying to protect you from change. But Joseph Murphy revealed the antidote: conscious command. When you start affirming with faith, "I deserve success, I trust life, I am capable of achieving," the subconscious slowly reprograms itself to obey these new orders. Repetition builds familiarity, and what once felt dangerous becomes natural. Your mind can be your greatest obstacle or your bridge to destiny. The difference lies in one choice: keep repeating old stories, or consciously start writing new ones. Watch your thoughts today. Each time your mind says, "I can't," respond, "That's not my truth." Gradually, the inner saboteur becomes an ally, and the energy once used to resist turns into the fuel to achieve. Murphy said, "The mind is a divine instrument. If you use it to doubt, it creates fear. If you use it to believe, it creates miracles. And the miracle begins the moment you stop sabotaging what you were born to live. The words you repeat in silence shape the destiny you live out loud. Many believe that actions alone create reality, but Joseph Murphy taught something deeper. Words are the seeds that program the subconscious, and the subconscious is the soil where everything grows. Every phrase you speak, even casually, is recorded as a decree. When you say, "I'm unlucky, nothing ever works for me," or "I'll never change," your subconscious doesn't take it as a joke. It simply obeys. Like a loyal servant, it transforms those words into real experiences. Murphy said the subconscious mind is literal. It doesn't understand irony, doubt, or sarcasm, only commands. That's why words are spiritual commands. Every time you repeat something with emotion, your inner universe moves to make that order real. Think of your mind as an impartial echo. It returns exactly what you send, love or fear, faith or doubt. That's why some people live in cycles of pain and failure, not because they are unlucky, but because they unknowingly program themselves for it every day. The good news is that the same power that creates chaos can create miracles. When you repeat phrases of faith, health, and prosperity, the subconscious begins to rewrite your story. I am capable. I deserve good things. Everything works for my growth. Spoken with conviction, these words can reverse years of negative beliefs. Murphy reminded us, the subconscious mind accepts any idea you repeat with feeling. So the secret isn't just speaking, it's feeling what you say. Each word must become a bridge between faith and the heart. Start today by watching what leaves your mouth and what echoes in your thoughts. Turn every complaint into a decree of hope. Instead of saying, "I'm tired," say, "My body renews itself with every breath." Instead of, "Nothing works out," say, "Everything is aligning for my good." Words are not sounds, they are creative forces. And when you learn to use them consciously, you realize you don't have to fight the world, you just have to command your inner one. The invisible power lies in every phrase you choose to repeat. And by repeating with faith, you build the reality you truly wish to live. Have you noticed that something within you keeps working even when you stop? Your heart beats, your breathing flows, your cells work tirelessly, all without your conscious effort. But what few people know is that the same silent intelligence that keeps your body alive also obeys the orders of your mind. Joseph Murphy called this the law of inner command. The subconscious doesn't argue, doesn't question, it simply obeys. It is the most loyal and the most dangerous servant you have, because it fulfills everything you believe to be true, whether good or bad. When you say, "I can't take it anymore," your subconscious hears an order and starts reducing your energy. When you say, "I'm aging fast," it speeds up that process. But when you declare, "My strength grows every day," that same hidden mind begins to renew your cells and restore your vitality. Murphy said the subconscious is like a liquid mirror, it reflects everything you think and feel. It is the fertile soil that gives form to the seeds of your words. And that's why so many people live in the same cycle, because they repeat the same commands, the same fears, the same stories. If you could hear what you repeat in silence, you would understand why your life keeps repeating outside. Every thought is an order. Every emotion is an energetic signature shaping your destiny. The good news is that the subconscious has no past or future, it only obeys the now. That means that right now, you can give new commands. You can reprogram your inner world with new words and new beliefs. Tell yourself, "My mind is in divine order. Everything within me works for my good." Repeat it with feeling. Feel it as if it were already real. That is the language the subconscious understands, the language of present emotion. Murphy explained that the conscious mind is the captain, but the subconscious is the entire ship. If the captain gives confused orders, the ship gets lost. But if he speaks with clarity, faith, and direction, the ship will take him exactly where he wants to go. Today, remember this, the subconscious never sleeps, never doubts, and never rests. It's listening to every word you speak, every thought you hold, and turning all of it into reality. So be a wise commander, because what you order in silence, the entire universe begins to execute. Have you ever noticed that some thoughts seem to have a life of their own? They appear suddenly, dominate your mood, control your decisions, and when you try to get rid of them, they cling even tighter. But what if I told you that those thoughts only have power because you fed them? Joseph Murphy taught that every thought is a mental seed planted in the fertile soil of the subconscious. And whatever is planted there eventually becomes reality. The problem is that most people sow fear, doubt, and guilt, and then are surprised when those fruits grow in their lives. Think for a moment, how many times have you repeated to yourself, "I can't, I'm not good enough," or "things never change for me"? These silent phrases are direct orders to the subconscious, and it obeys precisely. Over time, the creator becomes a prisoner of the creation, because the thoughts you produce begin to rule your mind like invisible masters. Murphy said, "You are the gardener of your soul. Whatever you plant in thought, you will harvest in experience." The mind does not distinguish between what is wanted and what is feared, it simply executes what is charged with emotion. That's why every fear-filled thought is a disguised prophecy. Imagine your mind as a castle. You hold the keys, but you've handed control to unwanted guests, thoughts of doubt, scarcity, and failure. They've settled in, decorated the rooms, and now act as if they own the place. But the truth is simple, they remain only because you allow them to. Murphy explained that power doesn't lie in the thoughts themselves, but in the attention you give them. Whatever you resist, persists. Whatever you bless with awareness, transforms. When you observe your thoughts without fear, without identifying with them, you begin to regain command of the castle. So ask yourself, are these thoughts serving me or enslaving me? That single question is the beginning of freedom. Because when you understand that you are the creator, not the creation, something shifts profoundly. You stop fighting your thoughts and start commanding them. And the more you repeat decrees of faith, strength, and confidence, the more your subconscious reorganizes itself under your authority. Joseph Murphy said the mind is like a river, if you don't direct it, it carves crooked paths. But when you take command, the current flows again in divine order. Today, remember, you are not a prisoner of the thoughts you created. You are the being who can create new ones, stronger and brighter. The power that once enslaved you is the same power that can now set you free, because the key has always been in your hands. Have you noticed that the mind does not obey force, but conviction? The more we try to force a positive thought, the more resistance we meet. But Joseph Murphy revealed a secret that changes everything: the mind is not conquered by imposition, but by persuasion. He said that the subconscious is like a loyal servant, faithfully carrying out any order given with faith, even if that order harms you. That's why true mastery of the mind is not about fighting what you feel, but about re-educating what you believe to be true. The mind bows not before strength, but before certainty. Murphy compared the subconscious to a gardener that never sleeps. You choose the seeds, your words, images, and emotions, and it simply plants and grows what it receives. When you understand this, you realize there is no external enemy stronger than a misdirected thought. And no greater blessing than a command spoken with faith and love. But here's the secret: the subconscious doesn't understand empty words. It responds to emotion. You can repeat, "I am prosperous," 1,000 times, but if you feel fear or lack, that's the command it will obey. On the other hand, one single phrase spoken with genuine emotion has the power to change entire destinies. Murphy called this scientific prayer, the combination of faith, mental image, and emotion. He said, imagine the end result, feel it as real, and the subconscious will make it so. The mind must feel to believe, and believe to create. Think of faith as an electric current. The word is the wire, the thought is the structure, but emotion is the spark that turns on the light. Without emotion, nothing moves. With emotion, everything transforms. To master the mind is to master the dialogue between what you say and what you feel. It's aligning thought and emotion until they vibrate at the same frequency. When that happens, the subconscious has no choice, it obeys. Joseph Murphy said, "The secret is to feel the end as already achieved." It's not imagining that one day it will happen. It's living now as if it were already real. That certainty is the code that reprograms the subconscious, the signal that the decree has been sealed. So next time you want to change something in your life, don't fight the doubt, embrace the opposite truth. Don't beg the universe, declare with calm faith. Because the mind doesn't need to be defeated. It needs to be convinced. When you understand this, you realize what Murphy truly meant by mastering the mind. It's not about control, it's about harmony. Not about force, but direction. And when you lead your mind with love, faith, and purpose, your subconscious becomes your greatest ally, and life begins to respond like never before. Have you noticed that some thoughts simply fade away, while others stay, repeating silently and shaping everything you live? That's because the mind doesn't obey what you say casually. It obeys what you declare with emotion, clarity, and repetition. Joseph Murphy taught that the subconscious is like a sacred scribe. It records every word and feeling you repeat with faith. But for a command to be accepted, 3 keys must be present: clarity, authority, and genuine emotion. Clarity comes from simplicity. The subconscious doesn't understand complex or ambiguous phrases. It reacts to short, direct, positive statements. That's why, "I am healed" is far more powerful than "I want to get better." The first is a decree, the second, a request. Authority comes from inner tone. Murphy said it's useless to repeat words without feeling that you are in command. When you speak with faith, something inside you shifts, as if the king has returned to his throne. That silent conviction is what makes the subconscious bow and obey. And emotion is the seal that confirms the decree. Without emotion, words are only echoes. With emotion, they become commands the mind cannot ignore. Faith is the energy that carries each phrase into the subconscious. It turns a simple thought into a living law. Think of the subconscious as a river that follows the bed you carve with your words. The stronger and more consistent your command, the deeper the path. At first, the water hesitates, but soon it flows naturally, and the new pattern becomes effortless. Murphy advised turning affirmations into conscious habits of command. In the morning, say, "My mind and body are in harmony. Everything cooperates for my good." Before sleep, my mind obeys divine order. As I rest, everything within me is renewed. These words are not magical in themselves, but in the state of faith and emotion you place behind them. He said, "It's not what you say that changes the mind, it's what you feel while saying it." So speak from the heart. Speak as if you know you are being heard. Because you are. To give commands the mind cannot refuse is an art born from daily practice. The more you repeat with faith, the more the subconscious adapts to that new vibration. And what once seemed imagination becomes concrete reality. Remember, the subconscious doesn't argue, question, or delay. It simply obeys. And when you learn to speak the language of faith, clarity, and certainty, the mind kneels before your inner voice. There is an invisible energy capable of turning thoughts into reality, healing inner wounds, and opening paths where only fear existed before. That energy is called faith. But not the kind of faith that waits, the kind that commands. Joseph Murphy said that faith is the bridge between the invisible world of ideas and the visible world of experience. It is the power that connects the mental decree to its physical manifestation. When you believe with your whole being, the subconscious understands that the order is final, and immediately begins to act upon it. The subconscious mind does not deal with doubt. It only responds to orders that sound like absolute truth. So when you affirm something with genuine faith, you create a vibration the universe recognizes as law. And everything starts to align with that frequency. Think of faith as the fire that ignites the engine of creation. Without it, words are cold, thoughts are static, and dreams lack force. With it, even the impossible begins to move. It's the difference between saying, "I want to change," and declaring, "My life is changing now." Murphy explained that faith does not depend on religion but on the feeling of certainty. You can be in silence, without rituals, and still practice powerful faith if you deeply feel that what you affirm is already real. The subconscious doesn't understand time, it only understands the present. That's why every affirmation made with faith acts as an immediate command. When you say, "I am healthy," even before seeing results, you are engraving that new reality within you. And the subconscious, ever obedient, begins to rearrange everything to make that truth manifest. That's the silent magic of faith. It doesn't ask, it assumes. Murphy compared the process to planting. Faith is the hand that buries the seed of the word in the soil of the subconscious. Then, you don't dig it up to check if it's growing, you simply trust that the soil will do its work. Doubt is like uprooting the plant before it blooms, trust is the sun that makes it flourish. The faith that reprograms the subconscious is not a single act, it's a continuous attitude of conviction. It means walking as if you've already succeeded, speaking as if you've already received, living as if you already are. And the more you repeat this inner state, the more your mind aligns with that frequency. When faith replaces fear, the subconscious finds a new master. And that master is you. The human mind is fertile ground, but often, it's within it that we plant the seeds of failure. Without realizing it, we sabotage our dreams with subtle thoughts like, "I'm not good enough, this is too hard, things like this don't happen to me." These phrases seem harmless, but the subconscious records them as orders. And, obediently, it shapes reality according to them. Joseph Murphy taught that self-sabotage is simply faith misdirected. It's the same creative power, but aimed the wrong way. Every time you deeply believe in a limitation, the subconscious turns it into law. And your body, your circumstances, and even your opportunities begin to obey that decree. But the secret lies in realizing that if you have the power to sabotage yourself, you also have the power to free yourself. The same force that creates the blockage can open the path. Self-sabotage is not a punishment, it's merely a reflection of old commands you keep issuing without realizing it. Murphy said that the first step to liberation is observing your inner dialogue. What do you keep repeating to yourself when no one is listening? Those words are the instructions your subconscious receives every day. That's why transformation begins when you replace "I can't" with "I'm learning to do it." Or, "It's too hard" with "I'm getting stronger." Self-sabotage dies when faith awakens. And faith awakens when you start giving conscious commands, filled with emotion and purpose. It's not about fighting negative thoughts, it's about replacing them with affirmations that vibrate with truth. The subconscious doesn't understand no. If you say, "I don't want to fail," it hears "fail," and works to make it happen. But if you declare, "I am guided by success," the order becomes clear, positive, and powerful. Murphy explained that the mind is like a mirror, it reflects what you show it. If you fill it with fear, it reflects obstacles. If you fill it with confidence, it reflects opportunities. And the more you repeat these new truths, the faster the reflection changes. Transforming self-sabotage into personal power is really a shift in command. You stop being your own invisible enemy and become your greatest ally. You stop sending messages of weakness and begin to decree strength, clarity, and direction. And the beautiful part is that the subconscious holds no grudges. It doesn't resist or question the past. As soon as you give it a new order, it begins to work on it, like a faithful servant that was only waiting for better instructions. Today, decide to rewrite the orders you've been repeating for years. Turn "I can't" into "I'm already succeeding." Replace doubt with faith. Because self-sabotage is not the end, it's the beginning of your personal power awakening. Everything you experience in the outer world is just a silent reflection of the conversation you hold within yourself. Life doesn't respond to the words you speak aloud, it responds to what you repeat in silence. This is your inner dialogue, the invisible script that writes every chapter of your story. Joseph Murphy said that you are talking to the universe all the time, even when your mouth is closed. Every thought is a prayer, every emotion is a command, and the subconscious is the messenger that executes those commands without hesitation. The problem is that most people have grown used to speaking to themselves destructively. I don't deserve it, nothing ever works for me, I'm unlucky. These silent words become laws for the subconscious, and it fulfills them faithfully. But here lies the secret, the inner dialogue can be retrained. Just as a child learns to speak, you can teach your mind to think with faith, love, and confidence. The process begins with awareness. Pay attention to how you talk to yourself throughout the day. If the voice within you criticizes, doubts, or fears, it's time to replace it. Don't fight it, simply change the conversation. Murphy taught, the subconscious mind accepts everything you repeat with emotion, whether it's true or false. This means that if you repeat with faith, I am guided, I am capable, I am worthy, your mind will begin to build evidence of it in reality. The subconscious doesn't understand irony or sarcasm. It only obeys the vibration of the words you feed it. Think about it, how many times has your body reacted to what you were thinking? Fear speeds up the heart. A happy memory slows it down. Constant worry drains energy. That's proof that your inner dialogue doesn't stay in your head, it becomes chemistry, hormones, and destiny. When you decide to transform your inner conversation, you transform your entire field of possibilities. Your internal words start aligning what you feel, what you do, and what you attract. Suddenly, doors open, people change their attitudes, and life begins to reflect the new language you speak within. Murphy said the secret is not to force positive thinking, but to replace destructive thoughts with creative and harmonious ideas. Each time the old pattern arises, fear, doubt, criticism, replace it with a firm decree. I trust the divine intelligence within me. Everything is adjusting in perfect order. Your inner dialogue is the root of everything you experience. Change the root, and the fruit of your life will change naturally. Speak to yourself with the same kindness you offer to those you love. Because what you whisper to yourself in silence, is what the universe hears the loudest. There comes a moment when effort ceases. When you stop fighting against the current and begin to flow with it. That is the moment when the human mind aligns with the divine mind, and everything that once seemed impossible starts falling into perfect order. Joseph Murphy said that true faith is not an act of force, but of intelligent surrender. It's when you recognize that there is a higher wisdom operating within you, a silent intelligence that knows how to heal, guide, and restore everything that has been disturbed. The conscious mind tries to control, but the subconscious, when filled with faith, executes the divine plan flawlessly. The divine will is not something distant, hidden in the heavens. It lives within you, pulsing at the center of your mind and heart. It is life's natural tendency toward balance, order, and expansion. When you speak words of harmony, think with love, and act with confidence, you are obeying the divine will, even without realizing it. Murphy explained that the mind that resists creates conflict, the mind that trusts creates miracles. While you try to control every outcome, fear takes over. But when you declare, everything is moving according to the divine plan, something shifts. Tension fades, the body relaxes, and circumstances begin to realign. It's not magic, it's the law of mind operating under the direction of faith. Imagine life as a great river. Most people try to row against the current, believing they will reach their goals through effort and anxiety. But the wise learn to align their boat with the divine flow. They understand that the river knows its way, and that it's enough to adjust the sails of the mind to be carried safely forward. This alignment begins with one simple decision: trust. Trust that there is a higher power orchestrating every detail. Trust that the same intelligence that makes the sun rise can solve your problem. Trust that when you quiet your inner noise, the divine voice can finally be heard. Murphy called this the silent prayer. It's not words that move the divine, but the state of consciousness that accompanies them. When you pray with peace instead of desperation, you tell your subconscious, I trust. I have already surrendered. And at that very moment, the creative power within you begins to act. The mind aligned with divine will doesn't beg, it affirms. It doesn't fear, it understands. It doesn't doubt, it watches perfection unfold. And once that inner harmony settles, the body, destiny, and even time obey a new law, the law of divine love manifested. Remember, the universe does not respond to despair, but to certainty. When your mind tunes to the divine frequency, life rearranges itself to mirror that peace. And then you realize the miracle was never outside, it was always the reflection of a mind at peace with God. There is a silent, almost imperceptible moment when everything changes. There are no flashes of light or sounds of trumpets, only a deep peace that settles within, and you realize your mind has finally obeyed. That is the turning point, the moment when chaos turns into order, fear into trust, and effort into natural flow. Joseph Murphy said the human mind is like a faithful servant, it carries out whatever the master commands. For years, you may have given it orders of doubt, limitation, and scarcity, and it obeyed, without judgment. But when you awaken, when you understand that the creative power was within you all along, your words become commands of light. You stop begging for change, and begin to decree it. The secret is not to force, but to allow. The mind's obedience happens when faith outweighs fear. When you declare, with serenity and conviction, everything in my life now aligns with good, with love, and with divine order. These are not mere words, they are keys that open invisible doors. Murphy explained that the subconscious is like fertile soil, it never questions the seed you plant. If you sow faith, you reap miracles. If you plant fear, you reap confusion. So when your mind begins to obey the higher voice within you, the harvest becomes inevitable. External circumstances shift because the inner structure has changed. The obedient mind is like a clear mirror, it reflects only divine light. It doesn't struggle, resist, or doubt. It simply fulfills, with silent perfection, the will that comes from above. And when that happens, the body heals, relationships balance, and abundance flows naturally. In this state, you no longer seek miracles, you become one. Everything around you begins to respond to your new vibration, people, opportunities, even time itself. It's as if life finally recognizes the authority of your awakened mind. Joseph Murphy called this, the marriage between the conscious and the subconscious mind. When both work in harmony, the impossible ceases to exist. You speak, and things happen. You imagine, and reality adjusts. There is no effort, only agreement between you and the power that created you. And now that you've reached this point, there is a quiet invitation, continue this journey. Keep learning to speak to your mind, to command with faith, to live in divine order. Because when the mind obeys, life blossoms. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and stay with us. There's a universe within you waiting to be awakened. Write in the comments, I choose to live in divine order. That will be your first command, and your new reality begins now.